Hey there, friends. It's Bill McDonald, the Reading and Writing Doctor. Today, we're going to be going over a poem. The poem happens to have rhyming and rhythm as well as meter. So what I would like to do before we look at the question that only got 40% is to do what I call a pre-read. Pre means something you can do before you read the selection or the passage. Think of the P as what's the purpose, the genre. Well, the one we're going to look at is a poem. What person is it in? Is it first person I, me, or we? Second person you? Or third person talking about someone who is not here? And this one happens to be third person personification, bringing human qualities to a season in the year or a month in the year called March. The title being Song of March, capital Song, lowercase of, capital March. So a clue is it's about a month, and songs tend to be positive, not negative. The other parts of pre are, is it a reading, a revising, or an editing passage? What kind of passage is it? What is it, present tense or past tense? So this one, because it's a poem and it's got comprehension questions, it's going to be in present tense, and it's going to be asking just about what one word means. And because the line that the word is on doesn't have enough context to answer the question, we're going to have to either push the rewind button on our story narrative remote using the yellow monkeys, or push the green monkey moving forward, the fast forward. But what I'd like you to do first is go with me, and we're gonna take a look and decide, does the poem have free verse where there's no rhyme or rhythm, just free flowing expression of thought, usually in first or second person, usually in present or past tense? Is it blank verse? It has a rhythm, but there's no rhyming. Or does it have a rhyming, rhythm, meter, and where they use what they call feet to measure each one? And so what I've come up with is a diagram using the most common one, iambic, so that you can teach your students using a series of claps and chants, claps and snaps, or snaps and clamps, snaps and claps. So iambic, just as a nutshell here, you can say you can see that iambic, it's sad that we don't know this. I for iambic, meaning that there's a soft sound and then a loud sound, a snap and then a clap. If your kids can't snap, they can put their hands on their legs for the soft and then clap loudly for the loud sound. And so 1 foot is called manometer. Snap, clap, line. 2 feet, you go through that pattern twice. Snap, clap, line. That would be diameter. That was not the poem that we're going to look at. It was one of these. 3 feet. Snap, clap, 1. Snap, clap, 2. Snap, clap, 3. Line. That means that before the line is finished, it repeats the soft, loud sound 3 times. The one that Song of March is set up with is called Iambic, soft, loud, tetrameter. Soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud. See there, got 3 fingers. Soft, loud, line. So every time that the line is finished, you see a little red line. And so what I want to do is show you that this poem is set up. What's the rhythm? What's the rhyme? And so part of the pre-read, you can see if it's a P poem, is there rhythm? Is there rhyming? So before we look at the question, I thought I would do a teachable moment and share the poem with you. Then we'll take a look at the question and why only 40% of the kids. So there's the pre-read. It's a poem. What's the purpose? It's a poem. If it's a poem, what's the person? It's third person because there's no I or me or we or you. It's present tense happening right now. Is it free verse with no rhyme or rhythm? No, because you can see at the end of every line it rhymes. Is it blank verse where there's rhythm, there's that pattern, but there's no rhyming? Or does it have rhyming and rhythm with meter and feet? And yes, so this one is going to be called Iambic Tetrameter. So I'll work my way through it with you, and you'll see that it repeats the pattern of iambic tetrameter over and over, 4 feet on each line. With winter's footprints in the past, and snows begin to melt at last, with longer days and shorter nights, the wayward winds of March take flight. For winds she holds within her grip, then hurls them from her fingertip. Her woolly fleecy clouds of white she sets in skies of blue delight. Her wild bouts of gusty breeze. So her wild bouts of gusty breeze. What I noticed that it doesn't always follow the rhythm or the meter on every single line and stanza, but it stays within that pattern as much as possible. Roars through valleys, hills, and trees. Roars through valleys, hills, and trees. That one switched. Her wild bouts of gusty, her wild bouts of gusty breeze roars through valleys, hills, and trees. That one, that stanza switches to the trochee where it's hard, soft. That high pitch whistling song she sings awakens earth and flowering things. So I'll show you at the end that this one switched from iambic tetrameter to trochee tetrameter. She tears back that that high pitched whistling song she sings. Okay, that's back to iambic. It's the soft. She tears a hole in heaven's sky so sun can shine and rain can cry. She gently calms as spring draws near. And so this is what I want you to pay close attention to. The question is about line 18 here. And so when they ask you what a word means, well, question 31 in red, think of red as the question and red as your answer. Since I can't tell what dwindling means on the line itself, in the context of the line, you try to check the context of the stanza. Since I can't tell from the stanza, I've got to check the stanza before, and that's where I'll be able to get this answer from. Then gathers up her dwindling winds. Now, so it switched again. Now, because you can hear the harder sound, her long, sorry, now her long journey. Now her long journey home begins. So that one broke the pattern. Once again, that's twice that I've seen that happen. Knowing she'll be back this way. Knowing she'll be back this way upon a cold late winter's day when nights grow short. And that one doesn't follow the tetrameter. When nights grow short, that's a diameter, I believe it, but because it's only got two repeating patterns, and days grow long. Line. Listen for her whistling song. So if I come back out and show you, okay, what were the different patterns that we saw there? It's all in the iambic section. We had some that only had 2 feet, which is this one in the upper right-hand portion. Soft, loud line. Some were totally off, but there were a few that switched the pattern. So trochee types of metric feeder in poetry have the loud soft sound. So what we heard sometimes was, get it here, we can move down. The trochee is the hard soft. One line, hard soft, line, diameter. Hard soft, line, trimeter. Hard soft, line. And so in many cases, the poet, the author decides to stick with one pattern, with one rhythm, one type of meter and feet. But in this case, they had switched back and forth between trochee and iambic a few times, and then sometimes they just broke the pattern completely. So that's kind of like what I call the author's license to kind of take the poem whatever direction they want, but you want to be able to help your students find the pattern. And in that sheet, if you email me watching this, feel free to email me and I'll send you that page, and it kind of explores, it's sad, the iambic, the trochee, and the other ones that a poem could possibly have with different rhythms and meters. But it's good to know. And they will hopefully not ask your students a question about that, but if you actually practice it with them, they'll be confident and they'll know. So let's go ahead and take a look and see why the question itself was so hard. So I'm going to use my readvising graphic organizer. Since they're only asking a question about one word, it was question 31, line 18 on dwindling. Sixth grade question that only got 40%. Well, the red light was, what does dwindling mean? And when I read it to you, it said, then gathers up her dwindling winds. Dwindling sounds like what's happening to the winds, they're dwindling. And so if I move forward with the green monkey that's there, because there's my dwindling winds, what does that mean? Well, if I go forward, I read no her long journey home begins. That's that one that doesn't follow a pattern really. So if your journey home begins, that means you're done with whatever it is that you're doing. So the dwindling winds, because she's about done with what she's doing, well, dwindling means perhaps something is almost done. But when I pushed the rewind button and I went back through lines, as you can see here on the context in a bigger sequence, 1, 2, 3 lines, we're able to see that on line 17, she welcomes April showers, blooming daffodils appear, and she gently calms as spring draws near. Because if she's the month of March, then typically March happens in the spring, uh, April, May, June begins the summer, August, September, October begins the fall, November, December, January, December begins October, December begins winter. So when you're saying here on line 15 that she begins to calm, I could imagine just somebody calming down after working really hard. And so I would act that out possibly. I'd be exhaling, sighing, breathing. So when we look at the answer choices, if I'm a dwindling wind, I don't think wind is going to be soaking, and dwindling in this case doesn't seem like it means like it's getting wet. We've got to think of something that's close to calming. Straying means like when I stray, a stray cat, if I stray away, if I go away. The dwindling wind, straying in the sense means sort of like getting off target, off task. And so what your kids might have to do is say, okay, if I go look it up, not just in the context, but if I look up it in the dictionary to find out the definition, then your kids will realize that it doesn't really fit this line and this stanza string. Troubling, it doesn't sound like anything negative. If I'm calming down, if I'm getting ready to head home because my job is almost finished, my job as the month of March, then probably dwindling means going down, calming down. And so lessening comes from the word less, that my job, my wins will become less and less, because as spring is coming, winter is leaving, which means that the cold winds of winter and the rain and for some of you, the snow Well, all of that's going to lessen, and in specifically this case, the winds will be lessening. So there'll be less winds. And so what I suggest that you do is have your kids occasionally have this little necklace that you get with a little plastic casing where you can insert certain vocabulary words. And in this case, we'd be inserting the word dwindling. And then the idea is your student, if each student has one, it costs you like $20 for the whole year for one class. They kind of walk around in elementary looking for a switch situation to use the word dwindling. And if you have the word on one side, then if you can flip it on the other side, they can remind themselves in writing, what does it mean? Oh, it means lessening, getting less. So if I'm going to the cafeteria, I can say, oh, I'm noticing that the number of pizzas is dwindling. It's lessening because whenever the kids choose between pizza and something that's more healthy, they're probably going to go for pizza. So the pizza uh, quantity would be dwindling in this case. So there's the wrap up of maybe some ideas on how to use that. Go ahead and uh, share with me in the comment section or in Messenger what idea that you like the most from here. Share or tag your reading teacher friends. If you are not a member of my YouTube page, Bill McDonald, Writing Consultant, go ahead and uh, subscribe. That way, whenever I post one, it will let you know that one was sent. Uh, Many times my CREST trainings, because they're just for the teachers who purchased the online CREST, the constructed response, reading, revising, editing, extended essay, short textual training, all of those new type questions merge with reading are part of our CREST online training. This one is just free because I'm just trying to show teachers in Texas how to apply maybe a different approach to the questions that had problems. And somebody was asking me, well, why can't we just use just our curriculum? I said, well, I've heard it said in a book, one of my favorite books was the 6+1 Traits of Writing. And they said, no one curriculum can be answered to all of your English language arts, reading and writing woes that they'll crash and burn under those lofty expectations. And so if the scores are as low as I'm showing you, I feel like it's absolutely critical that you supplement whatever you're doing so that you can explain differently to differentiate your instruction so that maybe things are taught in a different way. So with this video, we did some clapping, some snapping, maybe some chanting. We used monkeys. We used a necklace with vocabulary to help the kids. I used the bottom of the arm to say, let's work on questions that just ask about one word before we ask questions that ask about an entire sentence, passage, a paragraph, or a purpose. So God bless and take care.